The refugee crisis is one of the most pressing humanitarian situations in the world right now, and global leaders have gathered in Istanbul to try to find some solutions. It's the second and final day of the World Humanitarian Summit. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the event has been years in the making and that the situation in the world has only worsened since the summit was first planned. Well, let's cross live now to Natasha Exelby, who has been covering the summit for us for the last 2 days. Natasha, over to you.
Asha, some of the main things that have been talked about in this summit are poverty, civil war and genocide. And one nation that has not only undergone all of these things but gone on to thrive both as an economy and a nation as a whole is Rwanda. So I'd now like to introduce you to our guest, Nkurunziza, who is the ambassador, the Rwandan ambassador for Turkey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Given that your nation has gone through all of those things, what information or advice do you now have for countries like Syria who are undergoing similar kind of things?
We live in very difficult times when 125 million people around the world are crying for help because they've either been displaced by wars and conflicts and natural disasters, as well as socio-economic deprivation. And what we have seen as our country is that the challenges of refugees are a product of failures within nation states to inculcate or to build systems of governance that place people at the heart of the governance process. And while we gather in Istanbul to look for solutions to this international crisis, our view, particularly built from the Rwandan experience, is you cannot outsource the fixing of the causes for the refugee problem to the international community. The solution must start at home.
But does that mean that the solution for Syria lies solely with the likes of Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian opposition?
I will not talk about Syria, but I would like to share the Rwandese experience, and hopefully the Syrians can learn from it. One, the 1994 genocide in Rwanda was one of the most ferocious acts of human brutality we have seen in our time. It claimed over 1 million lives in 100 days and left our country in tatters. At the time, nobody felt that Rwanda would ever rebuild again. But under the able leadership of President Paul Kagame, Rwanda has, over the last 2 decades, transformed to become a model state on the African continent. How has this happened? He puts it very eloquently in his own words when he says that Rwanda's journey of peace and reconstruction after the genocide was based on 3 choices made not by anybody else, by Rwandans themselves. The 3 choices were to choose to stay together, to be accountable to one another, and to think big. Think big in terms of Rwandans working together to overcome what seemed to be like an insurmountable problem, picking the pieces of a fractured country and stitching it together in one piece.
When you say that it's up to a nation solely to fix its own problems, does that mean that bigger power players like Russia, United States, UK should actually butt out of other people's problems? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that the biggest source of enduring solution to the current global problem of refugees and other humanitarian crises around the world must be dealt with at source. The fixing of these problems, in our view, particularly built on our experience, must be driven by nation states, by the people within countries, because that is where flaws in governance spark the outflow of people as refugees. We need to improve local systems of governance, make people the focus of our governance processes, make them active actors in shaping the future of their nation. And while external support is going to continue being very critical, it cannot replace the need for critical improvements in the governance processes within nation states. You cannot outsource the fixing of this problem to the international community. It has got to start at home. If Rwanda had left its post-genocide situation to be controlled and managed from outside, we would still be in a crisis situation. After 1994, Rwanda had over 3 million people as refugees outside the country. Today, all of them are back. And they are back because we, as a government, led by President Paul Kagame, made the decision to engage the refugees and pull them back. Today, the refugees, most of whom had participated in the commission of genocide, have undergone through a judicial process. Some of them have been punished, others have been cleared. We interviewed over a 10-year period over 2 million people who are suspected to have participated in the genocide. Over 400,000 people were convicted. The rest are active and peaceful members of our society. If we had left it, the 3 million would still be out. And Rwanda would be all the more worse. It is stronger today because it dared to do the impossible, to look at people who were suspected of having committed genocide and said, come home. This is a national challenge. We'll talk about it. We'll hold those who committed these crimes to account. But those who did not should have the freedom to enjoy the benefits of citizenship and participate in the crafting of our nation's future. And that is what has happened over the last 2 decades.
Nkurunziza, your time is precious and we thank you for it, and also for your bold insight. And Asha, I guess it is stories like this and tales like Rwanda that do give us hope that there will be more peace in the world than there is today.
Natasha X will be at the second day of the World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul. Thank you.